The Hustleshare podcast is sponsored by Lark, the leading super app for work in Southeast Asia. Frustrated with juggling and paying for multiple tools for work? Hate mixing personal and business messages? Improve your team's productivity by 10 times with Lark, which combines business chat, email, video conferencing, calendar, project management, real-time translation, and much more into one super app. Trusted by companies like Xiaomi, Glints, Kumu, and Mamaluz. Get it for free at larksuite.com today. The Hustleshare podcast is sponsored by OneCFO, the Philippines' leading fractional CFO services provider for startups, scale-ups, and SMEs. Experience the power of tech-enabled, efficient, affordable, and expert-led fractional CFO services. Let OneCFO handle your finances so you can focus on growing your business. Book your free CFO consultation today.
I realized that for the first couple of years of building BookSpine, I was avoiding attachment. So I wasn't all in because I was afraid to get hurt again and put all of my energy to get
Why
hurt.
does it sound like a breakup line, huh?
Yes. So cliche, so cheesy, but yeah.
Wait, this is the wrong podcast. This is not a love podcast, huh?
Welcome to Hustleshare, the podcast that features the daily grinds of unique hustlers around the world to show not our differences, but that our hustles are very much alike. Now here's your host, Ronster Betyong.
Welcome to this episode of the Hustleshare podcast. We don't have a lot of take-twos in this podcast. Actually, I don't remember even having to do a take-two ever. But if there was ever a lost episode, you guys don't know it, but I've had this girl 5 years ago. It was in my office in Chatbot PH in Ortigas. It was in person. I don't know how to do online recordings yet. But yeah, it was a hell of a episode. But I don't remember why, but we never published that episode. Not because I didn't like the guest. I was itching, but she was going through a startup hell, I think, to say the least back then. But this time, she's well on her way to bombard you with kilograms and kilograms and kilograms of books. And she seems to be doing well. But without further ado, let's welcome back to the show, Miss Gia Santos of BookSpine. Whoop, whoop. Welcome to the show, Gia.
Hi, Rod. So nice to be back.
Yes.
After 5 years, grabe yun, grabe.
Yeah, and finally, we get to publish this fucking amazing hustle. Okay.
Yes, I love it. I love it so much.
Right. So again, you've answered this before. I'm not even sure if I even asked it back then because you're supposed to be episode 4 or 5.
You
or
did.
whatever.
Actually, you did.
I did now. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. But that didn't have the other nickname that it has, which is the $1 million question. Gia, what's your hustle?
We help you find the perfect book for you, and we help every book find its perfect reader.
Bam! Oh, ha? Technically Tinder for books. Ayan.
Kind of like that, but yes.
No. But again,
Yeah.
it's obvious that you are a book reader. You have malabo eyes. You have 4 eyes.
Yeah.
I obviously am not a book reader. My eyes are totally fine. But again, you have such an amazing journey now, and I'm talking journey, not destination, because you always talk about it. You share with your long ass posts and whatnot. Which, by the way, I'm gonna come clean. I read the majority of them.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like,
wow.
What the fuck did she have to say this time? No, it's like, you know, the effect of that stuff that you post. It's like reading shit on Reddit.
All right, I don't even use Reddit.
Yeah, but it's like reading shit on Reddit, but I know who posted it. In Reddit, it's totally anonymous, right? So
I'm
like,
an open book.
yeah, it is, and I love the way you are very, very candid, and the brevity of how you tell the struggles of the journey.
Yeah.
Right? I even credit you for, what the hell was her name? Nikki.
Nikki, yeah. NFG.
Yun. I found out about her through you, of one of those long posts. Oh, there you go.
My long post.
So
Yeah,
I'm an avid
that.
reader. I'm a fan. Oh yeah,
Wow.
there you go. So
Grabe. I did not
that's good.
expect.
Again, I'm chismoso too, but no, I
Hindi lang
don't
halata.
spread it. I just consume.
Yeah.
Marites. No, it's like again, it's very, very similar to reading shit on Reddit, but I
Mm.
only also choose the type of content that I consume. It's either that or cat videos and cat random cat
Same.
stuff.
Actually, I love cat videos, so yeah.
Perfect. But I'm not sure in episode 5 that never went out
Mm.
if my
What?
time machine was already in existence. I'm not sure. Maybe it was, but if it did, it's not the time machine that it is now. So
Yeah, I think
Gia,
it's
I
a
need you to
different.
buckle up real quick because we
Okay.
go
All
beyond
right.
5 years all the way back
Oh
to
no.
understand
Okay.
your origin story. We've done this before, but this time is gonna be different because we're gonna have to ride the Hustle Share time machine. Better, di ba?
Yeah.
Tuned up, eh.
Love it.
It was tuned up. And we're all the way back. And again, it's been 5 years. So you need to refresh me your origin story. Because I remember you're engineer racketera
Mhm.
at one point. But walk me through the very first few hustles. I remember you're
Okay.
a UPD
Yeah.
person. But refresh
Uh-huh.
me again
Okay,
and
I
tell the
shall.
listeners about the origin of engineer racketera or
Yeah.
Gia
Yeah.
Santos. Cool.
Yeah. Actually, Engineer Raketera came nga after pa the episode 5 eh. But
Oh, yeah. See,
yeah.
I told you. See, I
It
thought it was
was
one the same.
yes. So way back, if I'm going to go all the way back, my
Mhm.
first hustle started when I was 10
Right.
years old. Yeah, and I was a freelance writer. I was
Mm.
ghostwriting and SEO writing even before that became a mainstream thing right
At
now.
10.
Yes,
How
10
the hell
years
did you
old.
learn that? Were
Well,
you even working at 10?
well, I was into blogging. I wrote blogs and then
Ah.
opportunities came. Oh, you can post links on your blog to advertise
Okay.
this, and then that's first income. And then I
Mhm.
got clients to write. I had to write for. And then after that, I started my online store 2011, 2012. I started by reselling first. Drop shipping wasn't a term yet, but that's what I was doing.
Mm.
Gcash was still via SMS.
Right.
Eventually, I started. Then I started this Korean fashion e-commerce store. Shopify wasn't available yet, so I had to like hack it out with third party, very
How young
clunky
were you again
apps.
when you were doing
Um,
this?
the store was I was 13,
What?
14.
What the hell was
I I
Why?
have
What?
I don't know. I
Mhm.
just loved it. I just loved the feeling
Okay,
of
okay.
posting. I did everything. I remember having to import from China the clothes and then saving the
You knew how to
photos.
import from China. I'm a 36-year-old. I don't know how to import from China. Like, what
Things
the
were
fuck?
different back then. So I don't know.
Wow.
I just was a geek. I was really a geek. I loved I even came up with like I remember creating mouse macro automations to simplify the posting of the descriptions, copy pasting it to upload it because CSV
Wow.
wasn't anyway, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
Um those were my first few hustles. I was in high school. And
Mhm.
for me, I also it was just so I could get extra income because my parents were not well off.
Mhm.
If they only bought the essentials, of course I thank them for education, the food
Yep.
and everything. But if I wanted to buy something for myself, I had
Okay.
to pay for it. So that was also a motivation.
At 13, you
Um
would have been the next teenage love story, di ba? Imagine if you're a teenage jowa, you had the budget to eat, okay? That would have been, and you didn't have to pay shit because the girl had money. You didn't have to just settle for Jollibee or whatever.
yeah.
Man, you could have afford some things, but that's a life skill that you also develop, right? When you
Mhm.
did that, what were those little skill stacks or superpowers that you felt like you were developing, but involuntarily you don't know that you're already developing it already?
A lot. Like it was marketing. Like I remember I was freelance writing for another online store, and that's where I learned how to market, like benefits versus features,
Mm.
value proposition, keywords for SEO,
Yep.
and then product development. Since I was in high school, I wasn't an engineer yet, but I knew how to code, so that
Yeah.
was like designing the features and like that kind of thing. Um, and even the finance, everything about the business, like the finance, like balance sheet, accounting,
Wow.
unofficial accounting, but I know I did it just because I needed to understand what was happening, that kind of thing.
Got it.
It's really that. Also dealing with customers.
Mm.
It was very tricky. And I think it was a good exposure for me. It was like I never had an internship in college, but I think that was enough of an internship for
Uh,
me in
for
high school.
sure. And you're already in the driver's seat. Everyone will be like, "Hey, make copy. Xerox this, Xerox that, whatever."
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Okay, so fast forward to college. You obviously are a college scholar, dean's lister, chancellor's lister, UPD. Did you
Mhm.
continue your racketera ways, and what were you already doing by then?
Yeah, when I entered college, I actually had a struggle year. That was third year because
Mm,
I took up electronics engineering.
mm,
And I didn't expect it to be that hard.
ECE.
Yeah, so I was also struggling with why I was doing it because I remember I love business, but
Yeah, why did you take up ECE?
I was torn because I called myself a multi-potentialite. Like I had a lot of interests.
Yeah,
And I thought if I'm gonna enter college, if I take up business, I feel like it's pretty easy to learn because I kind of learned it now. But
yeah.
I also love innovating and coming up with solutions. So I thought, why not engineering so that I can probably harder to learn by myself. So I
You
and
basically chose hard mode. Basically, that's
yeah,
it.
basically that's it.
My
So
God.
college, yeah, and then third year I was like, fuck it. Oh sorry, am I allowed to say
Of
cuss
course,
words?
this is my show. Say it with pride.
Yeah,
Okay.
fuck it.
Mm,
Yeah, I had to give up that business because I needed to prioritize academics just so that I could focus on school. So
okay.
there, it was sad, but yeah.
Sad, but again, there's always a comeback. So after that, yes, you obviously got the PRC license. You became a real
Mm,
engineer. What was the
yeah.
force foray back into the hustle? Were you? Because again, you when you find the path that you really like, it never
Mm,
leaves you. You can meander a little bit, but
mm.
you know the path is very clear. And what was that path? Was it straight business agad, or did you do side hustles muna or main hustles as you went along?
I think it's really the startup industry that first made me passionate again about engineering and what I was doing, and
Mm,
gave me clarity on the path. Because remember, when I said third year was my struggle year,
yeah.
what got me out of it was understanding the concept of two things. Number one is ikigai, and number two is tech startups or
You
technopreneurship.
knew what ikigai was in 20 what now?
2014, 2015.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right. Pwede na. Okay, because when did
Yeah.
I fucking find out about ikigai? Like shit.
I
Definitely
guess
not as a young 20 some, right? So,
yeah.
okay. So how did that make an impact to you? Because ikigai, obviously, for those people who don't know, explain it like you don't. I won't fucking attempt to
It's
say it. So, what is ikigai? Okay.
yeah, it's a Japanese concept, but which means reason for being. So it's an intersection of four things: what you love doing, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. Yeah. So during that year, 2013, actually a friend just told me about it. And it just so happened that I needed to hear it at that moment because it was the dilemma. Like I was thinking of shifting out of engineering
Okay.
because I didn't see the point. I didn't want to do corporate. I didn't want
Yeah.
to do that kind of work. And then he introduced me to that concept. And then at the same time, I also found out that there was a technopreneurship elective in UP. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh my God, it clicked. Like I can use my engineering skills, partner it with business, and pursue a startup. And that's what
Nice.
happened basically.
Got it.
Mm.
And how did that transform into the next step? Because obviously now there's a path. You know
Mhm.
what that is. How did you double down on it?
Yeah. So in that technopreneurship class in UP, it was under Dr. Louis Season.
Shout out,
Um,
Dr. Louis.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My favorite prof, and he was my thesis advisor. So I came up
Wow.
with a startup from that class. Eventually, when I entered fourth year, fifth year, had to develop a thesis proposal. It was under him. So it was a very startup-y kind of thing. It was in health tech, biomedical
Mm.
device,
What was
like
it called again?
HeartSmart. It was a
Heart
cardiac rehab
Smart. I
thing.
remember.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, so we developed that as my thesis. Eventually, after college, I did work in another startup.
Mhm.
It was Hiraya Water or RTAP,
Mhm.
and I was their first kind of employee. But at the
Mm.
same time, at the side, I was still pursuing the HeartSmart thing, but it was
Yeah.
just a project at that point.
Got it.
And then,
And what is HeartSmart for those people who know? Because I remember when I did interview you, this was the
yeah,
topic, right?
yes,
So now it's just a chapter. Oh yeah.
it's a chapter.
Right.
Wow.
So what was HeartSmart and what did it try to do?
Yeah, the first version, it was a cardiac rehabilitation device for heart patients. So,
Wow.
basically, those who had heart attacks who needed to do rehab, there was no automated way to gauge their if the level of the cardio rehab was doing well for them. So it was an ECG
Mm.
device tied with a bike, kind of geeky stuff.
No,
But yeah.
it makes sense. So the reason why I'm sort of obsessed to that, two
Mhm.
things. I'm hypertensive. Uh,
Oh,
but I've managed it now. Okay,
that's good.
but I have maintenance now. Okay, and
Okay.
I'm very very particular about measuring my BP. I've been measuring what for the past 4 years. Two
Mhm.
things because I didn't take care of my body with what I eat when I
Yeah.
was younger. Now I'm paying the
Yeah.
price, but at least it's not too late.
Yes.
I caught it
Yeah,
early still.
that's good.
Second, my co-founder passed away through a heart problem. So
Yeah, I
suddenly,
think I saw that. Yeah.
yeah. So I was like, okay, shit, you gotta really study this out because the easiest path for you to understand if something's wrong with you, there's universal ways for you to know. Obviously, blood work,
Mhm.
urinalysis, but the easiest way for you to actually know there's something. Of course, there's gonna be symptoms that will come through,
Mhm.
but the universal thing, majority of the time, that would actually tell you if there's something wrong or not is your BP
Yeah.
and
Yes.
your heart rate.
Heart rate.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Because even
Exactly.
especially your RHR, your resting
Yes.
heart
Yes.
rate. That's why I have this
Exactly.
by my desk every time. Yeah.
That's
So
true.
because if those are not in the normal areas, there's something wrong, and the more it persists in the wrong levels, something's gotta give. You just gotta have to. You have to. It's basically a roulette.
Yes.
What's gonna give out? Is it cardio? Is it stroke? Is it everything starts
Yes.
from that, right?
Yeah. And that's the top killer talaga sa Philippines, heart
Yep.
attack and stroke. And that was my mission back then.
Mm.
I can relate to the resting heart rate because I remember I was testing the ECG device and I was testing it myself and was like, why is my resting heart rate so high back then?
Mm.
So yeah, that was the first version of it. Eventually, by the time we met, I think it already evolved into a little bit more preventive healthcare that was open to a lot more people, not just heart
Mm.
patients. So like pre-diabetic or
Yep.
hypertensive. So yeah. Mhm.
And I remember now. I'm starting to get the episode
The
back in my head.
flashbacks.
Yeah, the flashback. So you just didn't create. It's rare, by the way, that a lot of people, and this is where I remember I resonated with you a lot because
Mm.
the common thing about what we did when we were starting out, my first startup was my thesis, but
Ooh.
I didn't have a Doc Louis. People thought I was fucking crazy in UST. I had to go out and get my own mentors like a Sir Georgie to give me a chance to get there. And the reason
Mm.
why I do this is because Sir Georgie, when I started out, said that I don't owe him shit. And if I become successful, I shouldn't pay him back. I should pay it forward. Hence Hustleshare.
Love it.
But again, rare that theses or what's the plural of thesis? Basta
I don't
thesis.
know. Yeah.
Ayan.
Yeah.
Get to see the light of day and become
Mhm.
fundable startups. And I remember you guys got funded in Idea Space.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me about that and how you guys grew because I still remember a very specific call. I remember
Yes.
where it was and how intense it was.
Oh God.
And
Yeah.
why we were having that discussion. But let's talk about the fun parts muna. Okay,
Yeah, the
go.
fun parts muna. Yeah, after college, so the HeartSmart thing, I joined this other program funded by the USC. It was Leaders in Innovation Fellowship Program.
Hmm.
And it was a partnership with UK, so Newton Agham Fund. So it was a group of, actually I was grouped with a lot of researchers, scientists,
Okay.
PhDs. I was the
Your
odd one out. I was
people.
the bunso.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
that's your people.
my people, but I was
Uh,
the youngest one. They're professors. I was like, oh,
okay.
academe.
Okay.
So yeah, but then it was a fun experience. They're all my friends now. I love them and I'm
Yep.
collaborating with them. Anyway, we got sent to London for 2 weeks for that training. And
Wow.
then there was demo day and it was also with AIM. So we had classes there. And
Wow.
I think that laid the foundation for me to know what the next steps should be after developing the project as a thesis. So it was about commercializing that technology. And
Mm.
through that, after that we applied to Idea Space. It was I remember it was so hard to get in. I was so anxious. I
Dude.
didn't even know if we had a fighting chance.
Well, you
So
guys
that
did. Mm.
yeah, yeah. So thank you. It was a very amazing experience with Idea Space with Diane, Brenda, and the team.
Shout out Miss
Um,
D, Mother Hen.
yeah,
Mhm.
mother hen, mother hen. And then I think we hustled for 1 to 2 years. We pivoted. It was May 2018, I
And you
think,
had
when we
co-founders, right? At this
I
point.
did. I had
Mm.
co-founders. I had Aya, I had Lorraine, Doc Lorraine, and James. So I had a CTO, a chief medical officer, and
Yeah, it
operations
was
and tech.
it's a legit
It's
health
a
tech startup,
yes,
which
it
is
was.
rare here. Okay.
Yeah, and at that time, not a lot. There were not a lot of health tech startups.
Nope. Till now, because it's not easy. I mean, startups are already
It's not
hard.
easy. That's why I'm
What
not yet
more
back.
for health tech? Good luck, guys. There you go.
Yeah, so it was like the first few months were like on a high, but as reality set in, as we were doing it, we did get some clients. I mean, we pivoted.
Yep.
So the pivot was, aside from being so we had, oh my god, we had two pivots. So
Uh-huh.
the first one was a device supposedly. The
Mm.
next pivot was like a bit of a tele rehab. So we partnered with gyms like Fitness First, and patients
Mm.
could do their cardiac rehab there because there are only 10 cardiac rehab centers in the Philippines. So they had to travel
What?
just to go there during that time. So through our tech, the doctor could observe the rehab status like ECG and the performance and the workout and the
Wow.
app and the
Dude, if
patients.
this happened in the pandemic, totally different, ano?
I know. We were
Totally
too
different
early.
thing. Yeah.
We
Mm.
were too early. And then that kind of flew, but then there were not a lot of doctors and patients to build the market on and the
Yeah.
revenues. So we
Yeah.
did another pivot, a little bit more SMS based health coaching. It was a
Mm.
B2B now. So we got
Mm.
clients like a health clinic chain, a gym, and
Mm.
then yeah, community clinics from a big conglomerate. So
Right.
yeah.
And I saw how hard you hustled before we talk about that call.
Mm.
First time founder with
Yeah.
first time co-founders. What were the biggest lessons and the biggest struggles that you remember trying to overcome?
During that time, I was fresh out of college, technically no corporate experience. I was young and I was working with co-founders 10 years older than me.
Yep.
So I think one of the struggles really was to not knowing what we're doing, whether what we were doing was right,
Mm.
focusing on like the strategy. Like we were hustling and hustling, but
Yeah.
I think there could have been a lot of ways we could have done things differently.
Yeah.
Like but I think it was a really good experience because I knew how I did things, the kind of co-founders I wanted.
Yeah.
The team, it was also like the team was strong, but we also had friction points. So I realized we have to be aligned on values, the way we work together. But one thing that really mattered was we were all aligned on the vision of what we
Yeah.
wanted to do.
And that
So yeah.
vision needs to be non-negotiable,
Yes,
exactly
yes, it's a
vivid in
non-negotiable.
multiple vantage points. Because if
Yeah,
that's different with something else, oh my god,
yeah.
clusterfuck. There you go.
Yeah, and the biggest learning back then was really just to go out and talk to a lot of customers as much as you can.
Yep.
I remember getting a lot of rejections, but by that point I was like kind of immune to it.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Now, a couple more things. Actually, no. Let's talk about the thing. So I remember,
Okay, yeah.
I don't remember the date. I remember where I was and had a lengthy ass conversation because you had an opportunity to get acquired.
Yes.
I was like, shit,
Uh,
you go, girl. And that's why we never released the old app
yes.
because you were on the brink,
Mhm.
right? And I remember giving you advice, vantage points. If you do this, if you do that, blah, blah, blah. I said, but
Yes.
Gia, it's your call, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But walk me through what happened because obviously it didn't transpire. And
Mhm.
also, the guys behind that deal, hindsight being 2020, weren't trying to play the most fair game per se. I said that nicely. Okay.
I don't like. Oh no.
Oh, what? Dude,
No,
it's
no, that's okay. It's
Hustleshare.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We are very, very transparent here. And we're
I
not
love
trying
it.
to throw shade.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if I want to discuss this, because you're not going to be the last person that you're probably going to get a similar type of deal.
Mhm.
What we're trying to prevent is exactly what happened. Para people know what can possibly go right, what can possibly go wrong. So let's talk
Yeah,
about that before we
that
take our first break.
that's right. Actually, I've been reflecting on that journey the past couple of months and weeks. Like, what happened? What went wrong? And
Mm.
what was learning out of it.
Mm.
So we were supposed to be acquired at the
Mm.
start. So it was months of like talking
Yeah.
and preparing, which is actually I believed in. I think the vision was aligned and we
Yeah.
were working with it. Yeah, definitely. And so when we talked, we were at that final, or so I thought, the final stages of like working out the deal and everything. Turns out there was a miscommunication. It was not an acquisition, more of an acqui-hire kind of proposition.
Okay.
So there was a misalignment on the numbers, for example, the expected, like I was expecting that the technology, not just us, would be acquired and valued. So,
But they
or
wanted you pala.
yeah, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
In hindsight, I could also be accountable for my maybe the gap in the perception because we were a very early stage startup.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of clients. We didn't have the technology, the team, the
Yeah.
assets, but clients and sales, it wasn't that high. So
Mhm.
maybe there was also a misalignment there or a misaligned expectation. But then it was only communicated towards the end. So yeah, it was supposed and then we were supposed to be acqui-hired, we were talking numbers. But I think one factor also was towards the end, aside from that deal kind of being on the rocks, my co-founding team, we were also all burning out.
Oh
Like,
man.
yeah, we were all burning out. There was friction and mental health was suffering. I was a
Yeah.
young founder. I couldn't handle a high intensity of conflict. I think there was conflict that happened in a meeting with my co-founders.
Oh man.
And I was like, let me think about this. And
Mhm.
but then we still tried to see what can happen.
Mhm.
We looked at the ways to move forward.
Mhm.
But eventually we we eventually just decided, okay, let's take a pause since everything kind of was
Mhm.
falling apart.
Yeah.
Like and in hindsight, now that I know that what I know now, um it was really too early for us to even consider that acquisition supposed deal. If
Yep.
he got acqui-hired, it would have been a different story. If he had continued, what happened after we decided to pause, all of our clients also had their own challenges, so they would have eventually fallen out as well.
Yep.
So like that kind of thing. So yeah, it was a really tough time, but I can say that at that point I did everything I can to try to make it survive.
Yeah.
Because I talked to so many I talked to presidents of big corporations I was a 25-year-old pitching to these
Yeah.
presidents and CEOs, and then I talked to a lot of possible investors, but then nothing really aligned. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. And that's why I admire about you because you did everything that you can. And I saw myself when I was doing Party Five, I'm like, shit, this is exactly what I went through. And when the perfect storm hits and you're the last person in the boat and the boat has sunk and you're literally just treading water, that's when it hits you. Because naturally inside you'd fucking tread water. Like, I will not die. Fuck this shit. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But sometimes the best way is just to just swim ashore and just build another boat. And that's what I want to talk about on how you went from, losing the boat, losing everything that you worked so hard for, but still you're just 25, 26.
Yeah.
And how you found your way back and how this version of Gia is a totally different version built out of that shipwreck. Let's talk about that more after the break. Hey hustlers, how many apps are you using at work these days? 5, 10, 20? Let's face it, there are chat apps for internal communication and emails for external. Cloud Drive for docs and wikis, calendars and video conferencing, spreadsheets and project management software, and probably yet another tool to connect them all. It is a mess. And if you're collaborating with cross-border colleagues, partners, or suppliers, it gets even more complicated. And don't you find it disruptive when your personal and business messages get mixed up? And if this sounds painfully familiar, switch to Lark, the leading super app for work designed to increase your team's productivity by 10x at an unbelievable fraction of the cost. With Lark, manage projects, chat with your team, build a knowledge base with wikis, and automate workflows such as approvals without code effortlessly from one app. No switching or integration needed. Join fast-growing companies in over 125 countries, including Xiaomi, Glint, and the Philippines' very own Kumu and Mama Luz, who trust Lark as their workplace super app. I've started using Lark myself for our pressure washing business service, Papa Pressure, and I'm totally loving it. Want to see how Lark can revolutionize your business? Click the link in the description or download Lark for free at larksuite.com. That's larksuite.com, the productivity super app every business needs. And we're back from the break. We are still with Gia Santos. Then told us technically that old episode that we had, because that was the bookend and what that is. So we have two more parts of what that is. But man, I feel the heartbreak because I'm one of the lucky ones, but probably by necessity kasi I had to really bounce back. And I got lucky because my after party file failed. I know exactly what you felt. And the feeling was, shit, I felt like I was a leper.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when you had when you have a failure, this was how I viewed myself. This is apparently that's not how the public viewed me. But when failure hits, the hardest person on for yourself is yourself.
Yes.
And you put labels and walls and fucking limiting beliefs, all of those are back tenfold. And you there's also a part of me that couldn't forgive myself, right? And I felt like a leper, not because people didn't want to work with me. That's how I felt about myself. Like, oh, you're such an idiot, loser, blah blah, all the negative thoughts streaming in. But yeah, out of necessity, I didn't have the time to fucking do that because I had nothing. So I had to start something. I didn't want to work. So chatbot came. I got lucky. Got acquired 12 months after I put it up.
Yeah.
But that feeling of losing, if I just zoom in, still haunts me to this day. Because it feels like fucking grief. That's what I want to find out. After you treaded water and you said, after you sang Chasing Pavements of fucking who's this? Adele. Should I give up on sure or should I just keep chasing pavements? Walk me through those dark times and how you got back up.
Yeah, to be honest, I think for me, grief was a long process, and it didn't show itself at first. I think it didn't hit me that hard simply because, like when breakups, we first treated it like a cool off. So we were thinking, na, okay, maybe we can revisit this after 2 months, maybe after a year. So it's still kind of there. So it was in denial. And just like you, I didn't have time to process because I didn't have anything. Like at that point, I was really zero. Like I had to count my change to get back to QC. Grabe, pamasahe. And that. So, and the difference lang is this time I decided to try working again. I moved out of our home in QC, moved to Makati. I worked for another startup. It's actually another startup funded under Kickstart as well.
Which one?
Squad Zip.
Squad Zip. You did Squad Zip pala. Okay.
Yeah, but I lasted for 2 months.
How did it feel? Because that's what I didn't want to do.
Yeah,
it's my ego that's gonna hurt like shit.
I know. That's how I felt. I was a product management associate coming in. And at that point, I just really wanted to see what it was like because since I didn't have any experience with Corpo or anything established, since SquadZip was a bit of like already running operations well, I wanted to see how it was. So when I came in, I was very excited. I was working with the CEO and also another product manager and getting to know how it's done. But then...
those were a bunch of boys too, by the way.
Yes.
Okay, that's a bro culture.
Yes. I think it was the first 2 weeks in that I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think this is for me. Because I was not used to not having my own vision being executed. I didn't like that my ideas were shut down.
Yep.
And that I had to, like, there were days when I wanted to do a lot of things, but since product was my only role, there were days when I didn't do anything because there were no directives and I didn't have autonomy to like develop
And you
something
haven't
different.
healed. So I remember a
Yeah.
conversation I had a few years ago with Fred Levy.
Mhm.
Fred Levy is the founder of Toki.
Okay.
But his very first startup before, no, not first up, this startup before Toki was Cash Cash Pinoy.
Mhm.
It had an ugly fucking ending. And you know where he ended up? He had to work for Gcash for a couple of years.
Mm.
And I remember him telling me, dude, it sucked like hell. He hated it. And then, there was a phase and he had to power through. He had also no choice. He had what, 4, 5, 6 kids? So, dude, sorry, you got to
Yeah.
man up. You got to put the
Yes.
food on the table. But that's how he also was able to repair his stuff. Because again, you have to heal it. And you
Mm-mm.
know who's going to hate you the most? It's yourself and your ego. Right?
Yeah.
So when you found out about that shit, okay, I'm not ready for this. This is not for me. What did you do next?
I tried I kind of was torn about it. I gave it a couple more weeks
Mm.
because I was thinking maybe this is just a test that I have to go through just to get to be I'm just maarte, ayoko lang ng structures, but this time I have to learn it. Uh, that kind of thing. So like,
What an irony. Okay.
yeah, yeah, I know.
Mm.
But then I think it was at one point, nung 2 months na, that there was a turning point because I remember I had an emergency. And then I wanted to work from
Mm.
home because I couldn't go to the office because I know I could work from home. I
Okay.
wasn't allowed to. So like,
Ala.
what? So that was
Mm.
my like, okay, this is not for me.
Mm.
This doesn't make sense. This
Okay.
doesn't make sense. So I kind of quit without a backup plan.
Mm.
But then I was also at that time doing part-time with Pru as an FA. So
Right,
that
I
was, yeah,
remember.
yeah.
Yes.
That was my Raketera era talaga, 2019.
Yes. Yes.
So that was my backup plan, kind of, but I didn't know what to do next. So, but I just basically resigned. And then, I think after a couple of weeks, Diane of Idea Space reached out. So
Mm.
it was two separate meetings for two separate things, days apart.
Okay.
The first one was she has a friend who is an investor who just wants a founder to build an idea of his. So it's basically
Mm.
like I'm building a startup for someone else, but I still have the autonomy. So
Like a
that
venture
was,
building type of thing.
yeah, a
Mm.
venture building, that type of thing. That back then
Mm.
it wasn't the
Yeah, that's
term
not
yet,
what it
but
was called. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And then so I kind of talked to the guy.
Mm.
His name is John. He's my co-founder now with BookSpine. But that
Shout
wasn't
out,
the initial
John.
idea.
There you go.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that was a different idea when we started. But then after a couple of days as well, Diane reached out, hey, Brenda left Idea Space. Do you want to lead the
Yeah.
program? so
Wow.
so I handled the acceleration program that time as well. So it was,
Mm.
I had three things going on. And I think that was when I started to like, okay, be okay just exploring, because I don't know, I had these opportunities
Mm.
and I needed the money because I spent 2 years without any income at all. So I was like,
Whew.
okay. And
Yeah.
then I also created the page, the Engineer Raketera page, that time as an outlet. So
Yep.
that
And
was
that's
the
why
start.
that's when I started reading all your long ass posts.
Yeah.
There you go.
My online diary.
No, no, not just that, because I saw myself a lot in you.
Oh,
And maybe to a fault, I never really fully healed.
really? Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you straight up, where the grief from Party Pal still
Mm-hmm.
surfaces out, even if it was what, 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Because on days that motivation and the positivity that spews out of my heart isn't enough, I dig deep. And where I dig deep is the fear of failing again.
Yeah.
That's my extra tank. That's my
Oh.
hugot. That I will never go through that again. Never. You're gonna have to fucking kill me to make me stop. And to a fault, that's bad.
Yeah. It's draining. It's taxing.
But I'm 6 feet deep. I have no choice. What, am I gonna fucking quit after fighting for 5 years? It's too, and I have 30 employees to worry about and a couple of co-founders. All
Is
in
this
or nothing na.
P&A?
Yeah, this is P&A. We almost died so many
Yeah.
times here.
Well, same with BookSpine, but that's later.
No, I understand, but
yeah.
that's where I dig from.
That's your
that
your
death of party file. You know that feeling when, I'm pretty sure you've experienced this, and I still get it. When you just fucking late at night, you feel like the Undertaker. And then shit. Okay. And you know the payroll is gonna come in a few days. Blah
It's
blah
my
blah
trigger
blah.
word.
Oh, sorry na.
The 13th month coming up.
13th
Oh my
month,
god.
patay. Fucking shit. Cash grab. No, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where I make hugot. But I learned how to use that negative to be an extra jolt to get something positive. And thank God naman, I'm always able. We ain't dead. A lot of people call us fucking zombie, cockroach. I don't give a fuck. For real.
Yeah.
That's it. Because the thing about startups too is that as long as it's crystal clear, the way out. That's why I keep plowing on it. Because I still see the path going to where I want to go. If it's already feels like party file where there's no way out, I'll be the first one to say, all right, we did.
Super relate.
But I see it. It's crystal clear. I just need to inch my way out of it. And we have inched our way out of it. We're no longer in the bottom of the ocean. We were right in the middle of the sea, treading water as a group of 30 people just fucking
swimming and defending the island.
And shit, land! Go to the land. There you go. So, but we were always crystal clear of what that was. And the path was always through profit.
Yeah.
If you can dissect how much you need to sell, to whom and to how, and how much, who and how.
How? Yeah.
You can hustle your way out of your shithole that you're in. That's how I found it. But again, sorry, I went on a tangent.
No,
but that's where it's a powerful tool. And I don't recommend it to everyone because it fucks you up.
It depends.
Every time you dig, every time I dig from that hole, I feel like I lose a part of me.
Yeah.
Because I go back to that cycle again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a nice tool, but don't use it.
It's a double-edged sword, basically.
Correct. I stabbed myself in the process. Okay, so now you're in idea space. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
It's okay. No, it's okay.
But we have to talk about this because
it is.
A lot of founders will fail.
Yeah, and I think what I like about what you said is that you were able to transmute the grief and the fear of failure into something more positive that your team uses as a fuel. I mean, that's it. That's just how it's not what happens to you, it's what you make of it. That's
but it comes from a dark place. You don't open
that's something
it.
we'll have to talk about.
No, it comes from I'm okay.
Yeah.
I know how to overcome it.
We just have to.
But I just feel like whenever I dig from that, I feel like I probably lost 2 years of my lifespan because it comes from so much anxiety, blah blah. But it's like triggering a fight or flight response.
Yeah.
And I choose fight.
Yeah.
There. But after you're so spent after. Like you need a couple days to recover. 2 weeks lang, sweldo na naman. So
wala tayong choice.
So you need to recover right away.
Gosh.
So there, sorry. It's a vicious cycle.
It is a vicious cycle.
Right. But you know what I mean? That's it. So, okay, now you're back in the startup ecosystem, but you're coming from a very nice position. This is idea space. You're from a investor's point of view. Yeah. How did that change? Did that help you heal?
Yeah, it did actually. Because I realized that all the time and effort and energy I spent building HeartSmart and Valea Health actually meant something. And I thought that I wasn't doing well. But when I met these founders also struggling and not knowing how to navigate the path of the early stages of a startup, wow, my knowledge, my wisdom, my experience actually got useful for them. So it's very amazing.
Okay, but what specific turning points? Because you also did a tweener, you raketera, you. Okay.
Yeah.
The itch talaga will never leave you when you have it. Because I
Yeah.
feel like this is the time when you're an idea space, but you're also a founder.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
where BookSpine was made. So walk me through how you're healing and then what triggered the BookSpine idea.
Yeah, so that was 2019. I was doing Idea Space, and then I was trying to build this shoe startup with John that time. So we were get early stages of our um co-founder relationship. And then at one point, John is like me, he has a lot of ideas. So at one point he asked me to also to do another startup instead of the shoe startup. So I
Okay.
kind of ended up managing a reforestation startup for climate change, where
Okay.
carbon credits would be converted. So that was a couple of months. And
Okay.
yeah, and then the pandemic happened.
Mm.
It was during the pandemic we tried out a lot of different ideas,
Mhm.
and then it was July 2020 when John was like, "Hey, we both love books. Bookstores are closed. That experience of going into a bookstore, especially in the pandemic, people don't have that luxury or that option to buy books
Yep.
properly, like that feeling.
Mhm.
Why not create a startup out of it?" And
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest, at the early stages of building BookSpine, I was kind of detached. And this is only coming from the realization recently that I was reflecting on the journey. So for you, if you were grieving Party File and then facing it head on,
Yeah.
I realized that for the first couple of years of building BookSpine, I was avoiding attachment. So I wasn't all in because I was afraid to get hurt again and put all of
Why
my
does
energy to get
why does it
wasted.
sound like a breakup line, huh?
Yeah. So cliche, so cheesy, but yeah.
Wait, this is the wrong podcast. This is not a love
Yeah.
podcast, huh?
Yeah.
That's life over whiskey that you need to turn that to, not startup. Okay, not
No.
Hustleshare. Okay.
Yeah, but no.
No, I
Yeah.
totally understand.
Yeah,
It makes
right.
sense
Yeah.
because you give everything to your startup, your heart and
Yes.
soul, and everything else in between. And you're
Yes.
just hurt. You're afraid to get hurt again. Oh, huh?
Yes. That it's so true. That's how I felt. Like that's why I had like, when dating, diba, you have a roster. Some people have a roster. So that's why
Wow.
I don't. Some people
Yeah.
do.
Okay. Cool. I don't know.
I don't know.
I've
That
been
just
married
hurt.
for a while. I've been in a
Yeah.
not
That's the
9
goal.
year relationship.
That's my goal, but
Yep.
someday soon. Anyway,
Someday someone's gonna love me. Okay.
oh gosh. But yeah, with Books Fine in the early stages, I was still doing idea space and I was
Mhm.
still pursuing my content and my
Okay.
crew life stint. So kind of like one foot inside, one foot outside.
Yep.
I wasn't able to give it we were building. I had a
Mm.
co-founder on the ground. And I think one key learning in the early stages of it was
Yeah.
because we had funding,
Mm.
I wasn't thinking innovatively. I was just like, oh my gosh, for the first time we have funding, we can try a lot of things. We have
Where'd you get your
manpower.
funding?
With John with Bootstrap. So he funded it personally for a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kasi we did initial validation.
Who's
It
John
was
again? Let's
yeah,
give John a
okay.
proper shout. This John who? John
Yeah.
Aguilar? Who's John? John
So
the Baptist? Okay.
John Etchouse. So John Etchouse is
Yan.
my co-founder. He has a lot of startups. So right now he knows the term na. He's a venture builder. Back then he
Yan.
didn't know.
Okay. What's up, Janet Chows? Shout out to you. Oh yeah. You
Yeah.
got the girl that doesn't want to go all in to go all in. Okay. Okay.
That's true. That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah, the first phase of BookSpine was like a marketplace, but for secondhand books. It was just basically like Shopee.
Okay.
So we got at I think first few months we onboarded like 200 sellers, 3,000 books on the platform. We got a lot of users on
Mm.
it. But
I remember because this is how I found out that you're back.
oh
You
yeah,
were a mentee in Kubo.
yeah,
And on some
yeah.
weird sessions, you didn't show up. You sent your team like, where the fuck is Gia? Like, what? Why am I
I
mentoring these fucking employees?
I don't even remember that. Oh my god.
Yeah. It's like, that's just like, what? I mean, I don't mind mentoring them. But it's a
But they,
different conversation if it's a founder to
I
founder.
know, and that I think now that I remember it or I'm looking back, it was really stemming from that fear of attachment. Like
What? Even me?
I
What? I've
yeah, no,
always been rooting
no,
for you.
no, I don't think it had anything to do with you, but I think I had a lot going on then because it was idea space,
Trauma
and
yan.
it was
You
it was
need.
trauma. I healed na, I healed. No, I think it was also the pandemic. My mental health was so
Yeah.
shitty because I was
Yeah.
isolated. And I didn't mention 2019, the Raketera era was also, I had a breakup from a 6-year relationship. So that was like my
I
single,
remember.
yeah.
Because I read eh. Oh ha, there you go.
You're updated pala with my life.
Updated
Yeah,
to
I post.
showbiz happenings. Engineer Rocketera. Oh ha.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, I think the reason why I didn't show up to this
No, it's
I
fine. It's all good.
yeah,
Dude,
it's a mix of a lot of
if
things.
you just need to hear it, there's not a lot of people I can relate with. And no matter what the fuck you do, I'm rooting for you. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Because I
Thank
also
you.
felt bad when I felt like shit, I couldn't help her navigate through the act queen that we were so close.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because again, you
Uh,
always had a lost episode. It's here.
yes, there's a last episode nga eh. Maybe someday it can be aired then.
I don't know
I
where
don't know.
if I stored it on the cloud,
Yeah,
but it's there. But yun, I felt bad. Like shit, I couldn't navigate her to finish the job.
and for me naman, I actually felt ashamed. I was
Mm.
like you felt, sabi mo kanina, you felt like a leper when you closed
Mm.
party file. That's also how I felt. I didn't want to approach you because I felt like, oh my god, I fucked up.
What? I'm a reader.
Nakakahiya.
Little did you know I'm a reader. No, but here's the thing too. These things like feeling like a leper, feeling like whatever. Just like little things like right now. I'm
Mhm.
fundraising again.
Okay.
And I felt like I've built enough great relationships with every single one I can fucking have great relationship with. But till now, people scene zone me ulit. I'm not being entitled, but I've built great
Mm.
relationships.
Yeah.
And those people that I feel like have built great relationships scene zone me. If I was 26-year-old Ron,
Mhm.
I would have been crushed. But I've been there.
Yeah.
So I choose to understand and forgive. Because one thing that also Party File taught me is that I shouldn't burn bridges.
Yeah.
Because if I'm gonna hold a grudge, the other person probably just got busy or do whatever. He's
Yeah.
not gonna hold a grudge on me. I'll hold a grudge, and who's gonna be a worse person? It's me. The
Yeah.
other thing. So get scene zoned and whatnot. For a while, when we were struggling in P&E, I felt like a leper again. For a 2-year stretch, your best podcasters are not there anymore.
Mhm.
People call you a zombie. People call you a cockroach zombie. I don't know. People counted you out. You know it.
Yeah. Mm.
And people didn't want to fucking take you seriously anymore. I felt that. But I've been there before.
Yun nga.
And I know how to graciously exit that shithole. And I know what will happen if I fucking mope around and act like a little bitch.
Mhm.
Or am I going to take the high road and show through results that we are a camel? Okay? We're just stuck in the desert, but we're a camel. So those things, all of those negative shit that, again, cost me trauma, cost whatever. Eventually, when I face those demons again, it's like having a cheat code in a game. I know how to kill you.
Yes, exactly.
There.
Cheat code. Yes.
Right. So, what were those before we take our last break? So, again, things were great. BookSpine. Were there old demons that resurfaced? And how did you beat those old demons?
With BookSpine right now?
Yeah.
Or the journey? I think I'm trying to I've been reflecting recently, and I
This
was
is gonna end up as a long post na naman,
oh,
guys.
yeah,
So
it
be
is gonna
ready.
be a long
Okay.
post. No, because I if I'm gonna look at it, I think the things I'm doing now, like the challenges I'm encountering now, like having a much larger team to fund payroll for and everything, all the parang missed opportunities,
Mm.
it's harder. It's a lot harder
Dude.
compared to before. And what I learned is it's just that I was able to build those skills, that capacity to navigate and be more resilient in dealing with it, learning from what I experienced in the past.
Mm.
So it's the same thing. I'm still also fundraising now. I mean, I'm planning to fundraise soon,
Yep.
and like there are times like you think you hit a high, you get wins, and then you get revenues, you get a grant and everything, and then you lose team members, you lose your clients, you lose the hype dies down, you
Yep.
get cash flow negative again, and then it's a cycle. And then, but it is what it is. Like
Mhm.
right now, the team I have is a totally different team from the team I had in 2020. Like no one
Yep.
from there is here right now, except for one intern that came back as a
Mm.
staff now.
Mm.
But if it were Gia from 2018, 2019 going through this, it would have been like probably
Long post on
crushed.
long post on
Long,
long post.
probably not long post, probably deleting the accounts,
Oh, wag
deactivating
naman. What are we gonna read? Okay.
yeah.
Mm.
But it was like back then with having a co-founding team and team members.
Yeah.
I would it Small things would get to me right away, but now it's like it's the same things just handled differently.
Yep.
And that's the acceptance is what's helping me get by, because now I know like, hey, it's gonna happen again. Hey, we get a win. It's not forever. Hey, we get a loss.
Yeah.
It's not forever. So
Yep. And you become even keeled.
yeah.
Now, when you get high, you don't get too high.
Yes.
When you get low, you don't get
don't
too
get
low.
too low.
And you're just steady at the middle.
Steady. And I
'Cause
think
you know it's
cockroach is cockroach is a compliment. I think cockroach is a compliment because it's survival.
No, for me, I survive, but I'm also very, very competitive. I'm not happy with being so I was like, okay, I'm a cockroach now, but I'm
it's
I'm the
evolving.
biggest cockroach
Cockroach.
in town.
Yes.
I will bite you and I will chase you out of your house and you'll scream like a girl even if you're a grown ass man. There you go.
Exactly.
No, that's it. And
Yeah.
again, the one thing I also learned, and this before we take, this is why I was looking forward to this episode, because now we're better versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. But one thing that it really resonates with me now is that I know, because I've seen so many times of it's a cycle. There are just times of the startup cycle where you're in the wrong side of the moon. It's dark. But guess what? As long as you keep staying alive, you're going to be in the right side of the moon again.
Yes.
And you need to be ready when that happens.
Yes.
That's business. Okay, now let's take our last break. And when we come back, we'll now talk about a deep dive on BookSpine. What are you guys doing right? What are you doing wrong? You built a lot of hype also recently. You're everywhere as well. But again, we will see what the future beholds for BookSpine. But let's talk about that more after the break. Hey hustlers, are you a busy entrepreneur juggling a ton of tasks while trying to keep your finances in check? Thinking of raising money from investors or lenders but have no idea how to start? Well, you are not alone. Managing business finances is tough. But don't worry, I got something for you. Introducing OneCFO, the leading fractional CFO service and technology provider for SMEs, startups, and scale-ups in the Philippines. Whether you need help with financial management, fundraising strategy, or scaling up operations, their team of top-tier CFOs and their game-changing CFO tech platform have got you covered. And they're legit because I've heard about them from a lot of YC startups actually that got founded in the Philippines, because they've helped a ton of VC-backed startups, scale-ups, and some of the best SMEs in the country reach new heights. OneCFO is your strategic financial partner, providing the insights, guidance, and the tools you need to make smarter decisions and drive growth. Plus, they offer personalized support tailored to what your business needs, no matter the size. And what's the best part? It won't break the bank. OneCFO services are affordable and accessible to businesses of all sizes. So if you're ready to level up your business and finances, what are you waiting for? Schedule a free CFO consultation with OneCFO. Visit onecfoph.co today. That's onecfoph.co today to get your free CFO consultation. And we're back in the break. We're still with Gia Santos, who then removed her glasses. Now that means she's fucking serious. Okay? She's no longer geek Gia. She's like, I'm here to fucking talk business, y'all. No, but again, BookSpine. This time is different because you had funding.
Mhm.
But let's also call it what it is. This is brick and mortar with tech play. What was the vision now? Because this is
Mhm.
not pure tech. You came from freaking measuring heart impulse or pulses
Mhm.
to going books. What was the vision now when you created BookSpine? And has that vision changed or did it just evolve along the way?
Yeah, when we started BookSpine, it was actually pure tech. There was no brick and mortar. So,
Oh.
yeah, it was like the vision for that back then was to make because the problem that I saw when we did the research and the usual MVP development,
Mm.
there's a huge community of secondhand book buyers and sellers in
In
Facebook.
Recto.
Yeah, but also in Facebook groups, like not just in
Because I sold some of my old books there
yeah,
before
yeah,
when I
I
need an
know.
extra buck.
Yeah. So
Mm.
that's in Metro Manila, but there's a lot in other areas of the Philippines that don't have access to
Mm.
those kinds of opportunities and platforms.
Okay.
And Shopee and Lazada and Carousel just weren't cutting it because it was disorganized,
Yeah.
not specific to books.
Yeah.
And in hindsight, this was a shitty idea, but then we learned from it. We
Mm.
came up with a marketplace. We did that, onboarded partners and buyers. We had like 3,000 customers in the first year,
Yeah.
200 partner sellers. But
Wow.
we weren't getting a lot of revenue because it was marketplace. It was
Yeah.
percentage. We
C to
tried like
C, the worst.
yeah,
Yeah, that's why I always say,
yeah,
please don't start a marketplace if you don't
yeah.
have a
I
cheat
know.
code.
And
Mm.
I remember like that time I was going back into the space, consulting mentors, balik ako kila Brain Sparks, kila RT Lyle, and then
Mm.
Kubo. And then they would ask me what the value proposition is, what's the vision, and I'm like, I was really not. It was not that deep for me that back then.
Yeah.
It was not that deep, to be honest. All I know is that I love books. There's a problem that I saw. We're building something. There's
Mm.
funding. Why not? Until I think mid 2020, um, we tried to do a subscription model for the sellers to get more revenue. I tried this product called Book Surprise, which is like curated books, but with partner sellers back
Mm.
then. And then we tried building a community, and we did a lot.
Yep.
Um, until the point I remember, yun nga, we tried this book donate program in 2021,
Okay.
where people could declutter their books because it was
Mm.
all of the things were happening organically. I think in hindsight, the marketplace, it was a shitty idea, but that was the avenue for us to start connecting with the community of people and to
Mm.
establish the name na okay, we got a lot of insights kasi people were asking, oh, do you also accept book donations? You want to declutter?
Mm.
And then we thought, oh, that's a gap in the industry as well because people want to donate their books that they value. But then if you
Mm.
donate it to normal foundations and charities, the books are not appropriate to the beneficiaries. So we sell it on our
Mm.
platform. Part of the proceeds go to our Read to Achieve Foundation for literacy. So there was a social impact aspect to it.
Okay.
So 2020, 2021, by that time, we were doing a lot of things, but it wasn't translating to sales. So we had to think, okay, what do we do? Do we do pivot? So it was a lot of pivots. We tried doing an online community as well kasi nung pandemic, uso yung mga
Yep.
Zoom meetings. So we had people pay for that as well.
Mm.
So there were some random spikes in revenue along the way, but
Right.
nothing was sustainable and consistent.
Mhm.
Maybe because also of my lack of focus on the direction of what
Mm.
we were doing in the products, right?
Okay.
There wasn't a clear, coherent vision, and I wasn't clear on my why. I remember July 2021, everything was so hard, and I was thinking to myself, bakit ba ako nagpapakahirap? Nagbebenta lang kami ng libro. Ba't ko ba ginagawa to? Libro lang to. Parang anyone
Mm.
can sell books. What am I doing? What's the
Mm.
innovation? Kasi yun din eh, parang
Mm.
it's a marketplace. What's the innovation there? I'm not used to that. I'm used to like the health tech, diba? Yung
Yeah,
ganun
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
High tech.
stuff.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, but something in me was just like telling me to just, I don't know, see where it goes,
Yeah.
try it
Just
out.
go.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And I remember I had a meeting with Diane. Kasi I consulted her. I was like, Miss Diane, I'm so lost. I don't know how I feel. Like, I'm thinking to just quit on the startup.
That's why I was like, why did Gia never fucking reach out to me ever again?
I was ashamed. I was really ashamed.
Okay, here are the keys. You can always, you can
Okay.
always reach out. Ayan, packing shit.
Thank you.
Well, no, I have so much more hugot now and I learned from so many people.
Mm.
na I can share so much more. And why are you fucking ashamed? Why? I'm always ready to help, whether
Thank you.
I get paid
Now,
or not. Oh yeah.
now I know that. Thank you. I'll reach out frequently.
Ayan, go lang.
Yeah. So, yun, when I was talking to Diane, I was in a dilemma whether to just pursue the Crew Life stint of mine because I was earning a lot from there. It was my bread and butter
Mm.
and or BookSpine. And then she told me about a time in her life when she was lost. And then she picked up a book after reading it in one evening. It turned her around like 180 degrees. And
Wow.
that's the power of a book. And then it
Mm.
clicked to me. All it takes is one book to change a life. That's what we're trying to do. It's not
Yeah.
just selling books. We want these books to be reached by a lot of our customers because then we had customers from like Mindanao telling us the nearest bookstore is 2 hours away.
Wow.
It's through us they found the book that they needed that helped them with
Yeah,
school or whatever.
Mm.
So that's where it started, my vision. But the product itself was still like unclear.
Yeah.
And the revenue model.
Mm.
So 2022, I read the book Essentialism and then I said, okay, it's time to focus.
Mhm.
We observed our customers. It's always like that naman for me. It's data driven. So we
Yeah.
did customer dev, we realized our top customers um were hoarders because they were resellers.
Mm.
And then we also found out that the marketplace model wasn't flying because people want to buy books in bulk. And if they have to buy it from different sellers, the shipping fee is high.
Mm.
It's so
This is
that's
where
what
the bulto idea happened.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's also when we started like a mini warehouse. It was a condo unit in Makati just to store some books for from the donations, from decluttering, from Pasabenta. So
So it
yeah.
became the business model coming from all these things that you tried became literally transactional.
Yeah.
Okay. But how did the margins get? Because in order for you to actually make money out of this, you need to get the freaking books for cheap and sell it, sold it at a bit of a premium,
Mm-hmm.
or you need to get hella volume to make that work.
Yeah. No first couple of I think the first year of the wholesale was 122 when that time we let go of the marketplace model and the
Okay.
books we were all getting it for free. It was just a logistics.
Hmm.
So
Where are you getting how are you sourcing the supply?
we were able to hack out the book donate program where the SEO was amazing. I don't know how we did it, but we did it. Like we were like people who search where to donate declutter their books would just sign up for
Mm.
us. Like there was a time when we couldn't handle it anymore. We had a huge backlog of those who wanted to donate, but our warehouse couldn't handle it. So
Wow.
so that was a clear need in the market, and that was the key to a low cogs, really, really low cogs. Just that part of the
Wow.
proceeds was for
You're
the
basically
foundation.
getting free inventory. My God. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And then well, we shoulder logistics and all that, but then
But
it's
still,
a
that's
low
nothing
mark.
compared to
Yeah,
buying something. Okay, so
yeah.
zero
So
cogs. I don't know. Your cogs
yeah,
is just fulfillment and whatever
the
warehousing.
operation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Then the challenge was because these were secondhand books. It was hard to track inventory and sell them properly because, like, diba, if you're handling a normal bookstore, one SKU has many stocks. You can market it all you want. It's gonna
Yeah.
ROI. But
Yeah.
with us, like one book, 200 pesos. Alangan naman mag-spend ka ng campaign just to market that specific
Yeah. It
title
didn't
or
make
genre.
sense. Mhm.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. So that's the challenge naman after getting the supply, like matching it with
But
the
at
like
least you
I
got one side of the thing already.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And is that something
So
you guys still do now? It's
yeah,
basically a new
yeah,
supply. Okay, perfect.
yeah.
Yet
So
I threw
that's
my books. Oh no, I should have given it to you. Okay. Mhm.
yeah. Thanks. So there we tried the wholesale model for a while, just catering to resellers. We came up with the tech also like we tried to scan all the books. I don't know, those
Mhm.
kinds of like crazy ideas that you think make sense, but now in
Yeah, yeah,
hindsight,
yeah.
like what the fuck? I mean we did it, but like the
Okay.
complexity it wasn't worth it. So
Okay.
so there. Until 2022 that we were trying that out. We're still trying to make it work, but then the sales still weren't enough and
Mm.
funding was running out.
Oh no. Oh shit.
2020
It's bad.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean the thing kasi with my co-founder, he's not a typical investor na very na parang pressure ka ng sobra.
Mm.
But at that point, early 2023, we were already having talks about we were already cutting costs
Mhm.
and trying it out. And then, before getting the chance to really go all out and hack out that kind of business model wherein we supply to resellers,
Yeah.
um, around May, a lot of things happened. Number one, he really told me hindi na talaga kaya. Like, wala na.
Mm.
Parang it was only a cap. Kasi usually
Yeah. It was
it's
a
a
hard
monthly
stop,
thing.
technically.
And at the same time then, it was a hard stop. And then my co-founding team, like my first employees who helped me build the operations, the systems and everything, they quit. Like they
Shit.
resigned. Like it was a good
Sabay-sabay?
um may dalawang co-founding team members ko. One was the operations marketing and then the admin and everything. They've been with since the start. They didn't, I don't know if they talked about it, but they resigned same day. They talked to me the same
They
day.
talked about it,
But
for sure.
yeah, but they're good. I mean, we're good. They're still,
Yeah.
it
But
was, yeah.
it's just time.
Yeah,
Right.
they needed to grow and I understood
Mm.
that. But at that point, I was really like, okay, so what do we do now? John said he can still fund a certain amount, but it's not enough na for the usual operation. So we had to do a pivot
Outside thing.
again.
Mm.
Yeah. And then we came up with an idea to try out like an approach, like genre-based bookstores. Like instead of, because the book model was like a department store, but it's kalat-kalat, no focus. So
Correct.
sabi namin, okay, if it's genre-based, we start at one genre at a time. The
BL.
focus is, yeah.
BL sells. Do you know BL? No, I
Yeah,
swear.
it does. It's one of my top demand
BL
na
and
hinahanap.
GL.
Yes. Grabe.
Okay. No, so here's why. Okay, I'm gonna
sige,
be on
go,
tangent. So just like you, I was trying to find for the past 5 years, find a way to fucking sustainably monetize podcasts. I did. It first one, the very first version of PNA was we're gonna create all the supply, but it's gonna be on our tab or a network, diba? Everybody wanted to work with us. Of course, we can't take anyone. We had to cherry pick. The problem with that model is that we had a quadruple whammy, not double whammy, quadruple whammy. Okay. First whammy. So you're able to create the supply. The demand for podcasts didn't exist. And if there was a marketing budget that was available for brands, 80% of the marketing budget, I don't care how good you are, will always be pre-allocated to traditional socials, Facebook, YouTube, Google, TikTok, whatever. I don't care who you are, that's already pre-planned out by the marketing people. If they had a 20% exploratory budget, you're not the only game in town who wants that. So you're basically begging for barya. Okay. Say they did deploy. The second whammy is they only do it every Q3 and Q4. My production cost is weekly. There's 230 shows. What the actual fuck, right? If I'm only gonna get a deployment every Q3 and Q4, we're fucked. Third, brands don't pay on time. It's 90, 120 days, sometimes 6 months, sometimes 1 year. God damn it. All right. So I already did all of that hustle. And then I'm abunado pa with the content creator because they want to get paid. Because in their head, I already did it running. Oh my God. And then the last one, I did all of that. And the revenue model was rev share. I get 30% lang. And we did all the work. Until now, those two rules, the budget still exists. And it also exists in the US. So if in the US it doesn't work na nga, why will it ever work here? So we had to pivot and find a way. Before, it was okay because Spotify was subsidizing us. They were making Spotify exclusives. We were the biggest creator of Spotify exclusive and Spotify original. But even them, they felt the crunch. They had to downsize and pull this whole Spotify for podcast budget. Almost killed us. Good thing we had a pivot in our back. It was not sexy. We did Pod Machine, pa-edit, podcast pa-edit as a service. Our clients became podcast networks and podcasters in the US. All those shows that we built together, we couldn't afford them. We had to pass it on. The rights to do that to a friend of my late co-founder who wanted to take it on. Did I want to do it? No. Hurt like shit because I felt like we created those great shows. We had the Yabang. 35% of the top 200 podcasts in the Philippines were made by us. But now they're gone. But at least we're alive.
Yeah.
Right? But this now ties me back to this book thing. We found a model that's working before in the US by doing paywalled serialized podcast. So this is the first time I'm openly talking about this here in Hustleshare. Because I don't want to, the one thing I also want to do differently is I don't want my startup to be about me. I don't want to be the biggest cheerleader of it. I want to do it like how Diego Lorenzo did it. Do you know who Diego Lorenzo is?
Sorry. No.
Pick up coffee.
Okay. Yeah.
You know the brand, you don't know the fucking
Yeah.
founder. That's how the best ones are like that. Like shit, they're everywhere, but you don't know the founder. That's how I wanted to do it this time.
Mm.
And where I saw an opportunity was we want serialized so we call it series. There's no such thing as a serialized content. People love this audio drama, radio drama format, but it's long form pa rin, podcast. It's so hard to monetize that. But if you create all of these series and put a paywall somewhere and they're bitin, people are probably going to be most likely to buy. And where did I get my series? Books.
Nice.
I turned books and novels, stop selling novels into an audio drama and then put a paywall.
Love that.
So now I have utmost respect because I was never a book reader. But if I can consume a book through an audio set, through a format that I am needed to, totally different conversation. But this time, sorry guys, there's bills to pay. You have to pay. It's cheap. It's 90 pesos, 99 pesos to unlock the rest of the episodes.
Yeah.
But help us survive so we can do more. That's the game.
Love that.
So yun, BL, GL, sell it.
Yeah, puro
It sells. Erotica.
Yun yung ano.
Yeah, that's what sells.
I actually got surprised kasi puro ganun yung mga nahanap na recommendations. So yeah. there's
So
a
if you don't want to read, try Serie FM. That's us. Okay.
game.
Oh, yeah. So yeah,
Nice.
how did you then find this traction na? Because you had supply
Yeah.
traction. How did you do it?
What happened really was, sige, I'll narrate what happened since June 2023.
Ayan.
And
Like a
then-
fucking serie, there's narration na.
It is,
Oh.
yeah, it's a serie. It really should go on the serie FM.
No, we will
The
call it
serie.
Gia Serie. Okay.
Yes. Kasi it's really amazing. I mean, now that it's in hindsight, it's amazing how things fall into place, like when you don't expect them to. Because
It's called
yun
Startup
nga,
Miracles.
Startup miracles. I love that term. June nga, I kind of like restarted. So I lost my team. There was once some people who stayed, but like I had to let them go because we couldn't pay them anymore.
Yep.
I had to like regroup and understand, how am I going to move this forward? Is there something even to rebuild or something to do? So I resolved to trying out genre based, like starting with children's books and Filipiniana books.
BL. Just
That-
double down on BL.
Yeah.
Okay.
soon. But so last year I'm lucky because yun nga, my co-founder has resources. We had an office for free kasi meron siyang hindi ginagamit na office, so we could store the books there na lang instead of paying rent somewhere else. And then I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw this call for applications for the Startup Grant Fund program of UST. And nabuhayan ako ng loob. And at that point, I was like, fuck it. I mean, what else am I gonna lose? I mean, I don't have much options right now. I've always had this tech vision at the
Yep.
back of my mind on how to grow BookSpine, but it never materialized because I was focused on the revenue part and everything. So I said to myself, actually, nakita ko kasi yung sa stories, yung memories 1 year ago. Nakita ko, pinost ko last year. I don't know what to do, but if I get this grant, ito talaga yung sign, we're gonna move forward and continue. So I applied for the grant June. That was a long process as well. I think I was writing the proposal for 2 months, 3 months.
What?
Yeah.
Grabe.
Pero hindi naman full. I mean, I was still doing the other things like the sales and building the other brand. But
Yeah.
it was
No
actually
chat GPT?
Some ChatGPT, yes.
Oh yeah.
Of course, I use tech.
Ah, shit, you wrote that
course.
all? Oh my god.
There's
Okay.
tech.
Mhm.
But what I love about it is it wasn't just the fact that we got the grant, because writing the proposal for the grant actually helped me solidify again the vision that I had for where I really wanted BookSpine to go.
You
And
introspected.
yes.
Mhm.
And I realized the problem that I saw, the gap that we are now solving or trying to solve, is that there are a lot of books out there, like 130 million unique titles in the world. But how do you find the right one for you? It's easy on Spotify to Netflix to open the app. It's all
Yeah.
customized for you.
Yeah.
But bookworms, we have to ask friends, we have to go to Goodreads, we have to Google search. And right now in Facebook, if you go on Facebook groups, ang dami nagpo-post every single day looking for book recommendations, looking for BL, Sappho, ganyan. Looking for books na ganito yung plot, looking for something to help me with my leadership, blah, blah, blah. It's all kalat and it's no
Mhm.
platform for that. So that was the heart of the recommendation engine that I proposed for the grant. Since we have the data, we have like 33,000 plus data points. Not that big, but it was a lot of customers and data that we could use to train the model. So, and at the back of my mind, it could help us restart operations if we figure that out. We had the stocks, we had the data. So there. And then I think around towards 2023, the end, I launched the curated book box for children's books. Young Dorothy tried it out, partnered with UGCs. It was a good parang exercise for me to what it feels like again to beta, to pilot and everything, to talk with customers. And then, but it wasn't flying as fast as I thought it would. And then I think around January, we had to pay some bills and there was really no cash. And then
Hala.
I was like, guys, i-open na natin. Kasi ayoko talaga mag per kilo before. We tried it nung November that year. Open it up lang to like bulk buyers na clients na namin. So it was
Okay.
like bulto-bulto lang talaga na maramihan.
Mm.
But other books, warehouses were doing that. Per kilo, open to public. And then I said, fine, I'm gonna eat my pride. Wala na akong choice. Kailangan natin ng cash. Ayoko na to kasi ayoko ng per kilo na perspective. It felt like it was cheapening the books kasi eh. And
Yeah, of course.
I believe the value is in the book. And then
Yeah.
I convinced myself, well, it's just a way to fix the pricing kasi pricing has always been a challenge for us when it comes to selling the secondhand
Of
books.
course.
And at the same time, just because we sell it per kilo doesn't mean we're devaluing it because we're not selling it for scraps. We're selling it still for the value of the book content.
And how much did you sell the books per kilo?
It was 80 to 300 pesos lang per kilo at that time. Yeah.
But still, if they bought a truckload, then totally different conversation.
Yeah. So January, I thought, okay, I told my team, it was a Wednesday. Sabi ko sa kanila, guys, sige, game, put out the pubmat na kahit hindi pangit, open natin sa public. Yung mga, it was, at that time, we were just borrowing a third floor of a building na ginagamit ng other startup ni John.
Okay.
Na, hindi kasi ginagamit. So, temporary lang nakikitira lang kami. Yung mga box naka-box pa, like, nasa gilid lang. It was a Friday.
Okay.
It was the eve of my birthday.
Oh,
I was
Swerte
having,
season. Mhm.
Yeah, I was having dinner. And then I opened Facebook. And I saw a friend posted something, tagged me. And then I was like, oh, okay. Parang, akala ko parang, kasi before that day, we spot.ph caught on the poster na we're selling it per kilo. That day, that night, nakita ko, I think it was Inquirer, 3,000 plus shares, so many comments, 10,000, tapos naging 10,000 plus nga siya. Tapos yung pagtakot ng inbox namin sa Facebook, ng page namin, 1,000 plus inquiries. Like, I was like,
wow.
crazy. It was crazy. Kasi it was my birthday the next day. I didn't have plans
Happy
to
birthday,
Happy birthday, but
indeed.
yeah. So, I salubong my birthday responding to the inquiries, hashing out how to do the operations. Kasi walang operations plan.
Yeah.
Like, we were gonna sell na on Monday that day. I had the team
Shot
of
in the dark.
Yeah, tatlo lang kami. The books were everywhere. I don't know how to do it kasi it's, bigla. I didn't expect the public to come in. Actually, ito pa. Like, it was supposed to be a by appointment thing, walk in, schedule. So we were planning.
Demand, you cannot do that.
Yeah. Well, ang ginawa namin, it was, sabi ko pa nga yung conversation with my team. We were supposed to avail Calendly. So sabi ko, wag na wala yung pera. Pero nung time na yun, everyone was like, hindi na kaya iba naman. So,
Mhm.
as an dami, kasi we couldn't also open to the public kasi it was a private address na parang it was iffy to have walk-ins in. So we still by appointment, but the slots were all full for 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
Mm.
4 weeks. So we managed to do that. That was the hype. That was like our sales on one day of the first day was bigger than our sales for 1 year in the previous.
Wow.
It's not a lot, but it was like, wow, there's something here. I was about to give up on the physical books idea kasi, and then it happened. So that's what happened there. That's how we got traction. Customers kept coming in, and it lasted for 4 months. I think that kind of hype, that high level of
Mhm.
revenue. And then now after that, and the funny thing is, here's the magic of the miracle of the startup. That first week of the sale, we got a message from the OST that we are
Oh,
parang the
wow.
grant. But here's the catch.
What's
We
the
had to
catch?
we had to submit our audited financial statements, but by that time we haven't had paid the
Yes.
auditor yet.
Nako.
So, ngayon, because we had the cash na from the sale, we were able to pay it and get all the requirements done for the grant so we could get it. So, it was like a miracle for me.
No, and
Like,
that's what I was telling. Diba? You get lucky.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
get lucky.
That was so
But
surreal
that
for
luck,
me.
when it strikes, you need to be ready to pounce on it.
Yeah.
Because if you're not ready, that opportunity is only going to be there for a while.
Yes, yes. So that was like so surreal for me. So this the first half of the year was so like we got the grant, we got a lot of sales, we're figuring it out, and then it's a cycle again.
No, it
Parang
is. Mhm.
it is.
So
So
that's amazing. That's just that I'm just happy because we had something similar. PNA, diba? We were
mm-mm,
fighting. We had Pod Machine. A continuation of my story.
mm-mm.
Kept fighting. Our runway was at most 1 year. For a 18-month span, I didn't have salary. I had 30 employees, but never did I miss payroll.
Love
We were
that.
always
Yeah.
trying to figure it. We always made
Always
the cut.
figure it out. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God, the anxiety I got again. I that 1.5 year to 2 year stretch. I aged 10 years.
I know the feeling,
What the
grabe.
fuck? And no sueldo. I had to figure out how to survive on my own. You
Yeah.
know what kept me alive?
Mhm.
Hustleshare podcast.
Wow.
This show kept me fucking alive.
I
So you
love that.
guys don't know how much I value you because it literally kept me afloat. So sorry if
Yeah.
it has ads, but that's the only way.
That's supposed
On
to be
shit
that way.
that's on shit when shit hits the fan, that's the only way I can. So please don't skip the ads. Bear with me. I only put ads that of value naman eh. I don't put a random schmuck here that I won't use myself. So there. But that's
Yeah.
how we did it. And then same for the first time ever, kept fighting. But this year was start of the year was also rough. For the first time ever, July 31 would have been the first time that I would not make payroll. I didn't have enough in the on cash flow from our MRR. That's gonna come. 3 weeks prior, we got the because I was a leper. Nobody wanted to touch us. Fucked up cap table, deceased co-founder, product that's unsexy, but we had this idea of Seri FM. We applied to iterative. And iterative is like YC for Southeast Asia. 1.67% acceptance rate. Dude, we got in.
Love that.
What the fuck? But there's a but.
Oh,
There's a but. We had to restructure our cap table. We had to take a down round. So I had to talk to every single investor and say, sorry, we're gonna have to dilute you. But it's a chance to move forward. And this, I have a straight path because this is a model that I've seen overseas and I know we can fucking do it. So the next 2 to 3 weeks, I had to chase because I knew that dreaded day, July 31, we won't have enough. Chase, had to restructure, went back and forth, super anxious. We got the docs, we got the money July 30.
wow. Galing talaga, no? Grabe.
Oh my god! I remember two very vivid things. When I got the email that we were in, the only time probably that I was probably even more joyful, or it was similar. The only time I felt that way was when Chatbot got acquired.
Wow.
But this was harder. Because in Chatbot, I had a small team. We never went that close to dying. We had
Mhm.
so much receivables, but this one we were so close to dying. And I dug myself a hole that the only way out was to continue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Only.
just
Grabe yun. That's
that's why call me a fucking cockroach. Go ahead. Yes, I am. Call me a zombie, but shit, I'm gonna bite your ass.
Love it.
All right. But grabe the
Grabe.
thing that we had to go through. And yeah, we're here. Seri FM's doing well. All of
I
a
love
sudden,
that.
we're fundable. People started funding us again. And I have a clear
Yeah.
path to do it. And Pod Machine's still doing what I'm doing. So I have a clear path to get there.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's ano
And
I
all the
think
stars
talagang,
aligned.
yeah, if you just don't stop talaga, it's gonna align.
Yep.
And I think that's that's kind of where we are at that point.
Mhm.
The clarity has been coming in the past couple of days lang with
Yeah.
the tech.
Mhm.
So, yun nga, what happened was, nag-died down yung hype
Mhm.
because we were banking puro on-site sales. Like people who go to the warehouse and buy. And we were still selling online through ChatGenie and TikTok Shop and Shopee for those outside Metro Manila. But
Yeah.
it wasn't our focus. So it wasn't really designed properly. Kumbaga,
Mhm.
it was just a mema, parang ganon. But there
Mhm.
were sales. Tapos, syempre, we have a lot of competitors of books here in the Metro Manila. There's so many warehouse sales. There's Big
Mhm.
Bad Wolf, NBS, and everyone.
Mhm.
So we really felt that hit. Ang
Mhm.
baba talaga ng sales bigla. Like, gano'n na nagsabay-sabay silang mag-warehouse sale.
Mhm.
Parang wala nang pera yung mga tao. But it pushed us to rethink our strategy and what we really wanted to do. Kasi ako naman, that the books per kilo thing was really supposed to be just a temporary thing for cash flow.
Yeah.
And my vision is still tech things, something that has to do with tech to bring
Mhm.
people closer to books, to bring books closer to Filipinos and cater to the market that's unaddressed in far-flung areas. So, what we came up with now is like product bundles. The book surprise idea that we had in 2021, we basically, so to summarize, I'm all over the place with my thoughts, but the ideas that I always had in my backlog, like I have this documentations of having a recommendation engine, a platform where they can discover new books based on their personalized preferences, a curated book box, these kinds of things were all in my backlog, and now we're finally making things happen.
Wow.
So we have the curated bundles, and the goal is books for every journey. Kasi the challenge is for those who don't know where to start reading or what books to read first,
Yep.
or those who want to explore new and discover new genres and authors, and those who are goal based, parang it's a way for them to get these books at a lower, more affordable price without a hassle of having to go to a bookstore and look for it and have a recommendation. So there, and we're building an app that can tie it all together. Like
Nice.
basically, like the way I would phrase it, like a Spotify, but for books and not just secondhand books, but we really want to empower local authors as well.
Are you doing series also? Is that what we're doing? Are we
No,
competing?
no,
Just kidding.
no, we're gonna partner with you because
Ayan.
if we are gonna get local authors to publish their books with us on our platform, if they want an audio version of that, we send them to
No,
you.
for sure. And that's what we're gonna be doing. We that's exactly how we did PNA before. But this time there's paywall. Because that's how we
Yeah.
are getting also. A lot of the authors are coming from Wattpad that we're doing. Nah, again, that never had a publisher, but now they have a fucking audio series.
Yeah, love it. Yeah. For us naman, it's the it's physical books and digital books. Kasi sila naman, yun din, the platform, yun din yung nakita namin problem with local authors eh. There's a demand, there's a supply, but there's no matching thing. Like they don't know how to find the right readers for them. The readers don't know what authors to read or what books to read. So I'm banking and betting on recommendation engine we're building. It's not ChatGPT wrapper. It's we're building with the right with the data
Nice.
science and machine learning model algorithm with PhD people from
Mhm.
from UP and all. So there, that's where we
Okay.
are, and there's something there that I'm thinking that's the path forward. It's
Yep.
clear the vision because for me it's really about helping. My goal is every Filipino becomes a reader, and it's not even having to be reading the book kasi even
Yeah.
for you guys yung Serie FM, it's a way to book.
Yep.
And may hugot is, ato na pala yung hugot ko. We are lowest in reading comprehension in the
Ay,
Philippines.
nako,
And
my God.
my God.
Ay.
It translates to quality of life here
That's why
because
in
you know
Serie
the
FM,
choices.
that's why we're doing by Q1, we're gonna release the big four. What's the big four? Noli, El Pili,
Oh my God.
Madarna,
Love that.
and what's this? Florante at Laura.
Learn that, Laura.
Because not everybody has access to a book, but if we have an app and you can listen to Noli, El Pili, and all these things, maybe it's gonna be different. Diba?
Yes.
And we
I
got
love
it directly from the publisher themselves.
Nice.
Yeah. So we in a way we're solving the different problem, just different idioms.
Let's partner.
Okay, of course, Gabe. I told you I'm on speed
Kasi-
dial. You're the one who never called back. What the fuck?
I'm gonna invite you na lagi. I'm gonna call
Go.
you.
Let's go. You know, I'm always ready because again, I'm lucky because I have a lot of mentors when I was starting out. I have new sets of mentors now, and my job is to not keep it here. I want to pass it on to those people that want it, but you gotta ask.
Yun nga eh.
You gotta ask.
I think kaka-start ko lang bumalik sa phase of confidence that I can face people again. Like, ngayon lang ako nag-join ulit ng events because there's really a time that the imposter syndrome, the doubt was like, kasi when you're lost yourself, you don't have clarity, you don't know how to ask then for help eh. Parang, what kind of help do you ask for? So now that I'm confident that, okay, this is a vision that I really want to put forward and I'm owning it now. Ito yung commitment ko talaga eh. Hindi na ako takot masaktan.
Yeah, ready na, girl!
Oh gosh, yeah.
I think that's not just in startup, guys. So if you are ready to make lande, Gia is ready to make lande.
Kind of true, but yeah.
Ayan. Ready na. Ready na to reply, not Sindoni. Okay. So, but yeah, Gia, a couple things before I let you go.
Okay.
There's a lot of people, including myself, that are considering to get a grant. But if I see the amount of work that is ahead, it's like, shit, I'd rather pitch na lang and be bamboozled through DD and whatnot than to get a grant. What's your tip in people or startups? Because there is a grant. And again, kudos to the government because that I've started documenting this from it being a bill to a law to IRR to a real thing where we're actually cutting checks. But what's your tip in especially preparing to get the grant and give yourself a better chance to actually get a grant and be granted some money because it's equity free? So what's the tips here?
Well, first off, you have to be strategic which grant you apply for because some grants are for commercialization of an existing technology already. In our case, it was development of a new technology, but we already had proof of concept and MVP before applying for the grant. That's the common mistake that I think others did. Like they applied for the grant without any validation themselves. So I think building a startup, you have to validate it first before you do the grant. And for me, I agree with the amount of work that needed to be done. I think it's really about assessing where you are and what your options are. Because on my end, I felt like I wasn't confident to pitch for an equity-based investment yet. And at the same time, I found the grant process very, very familiar because I'm an engineer. It was second nature to me to develop the proposal.
Ethics for you.
Yeah, because I loved it actually because I remember the thesis days and I got I found my ikigai again basically when I was
hate
writing
the
the grant.
thesis days. I talked my way out of the defense.
Oh
for
no.
thesis days. That was my strength. I was like, fuck this shit. I'm gonna talk my way out.
Yeah. For me though, I know myself. I love it. I'm a geek. So it was helpful for me. It was a helpful process for me. So you have to assess really if it's for you. Kasi talagang madugo siya. Like I had to go through a lot of panels. Then after the proposal of submission, there was a lot of Q&A and defense. Then kind of.
Oh, that
But
I enjoy. Game.
Yeah, I
Bring it.
love that. It
Bring
sharpened
it.
my thinking.
Mhm.
So it sharpened and also solidified our what we want to do. So that's one tip. They will sense bullshit. So you
Yep.
have to know what you're really gonna do. Like
Mhm.
I did like RRL. Like I did research on machine learning papers on it.
Wow.
So I in the proposal I already said there what kind of model we're gonna do and or try out and test. And the data sets that we're gonna
Because you
collect.
got the DOST grant, diba? So it's very deep
They
tech.
did.
Mhm.
It is. Yes. It's the startup grant fund under DOST R&D talaga siya. And
Is that the Pissured or the
Pissured.
Okay, got
Pissured.
it.
Yeah, Pissured.
Because there's
And
one pa, I think Technicom. I don't know what the
yeah,
difference between.
I think Technicom is for scale up. So I think for us after the startup grant fund, the next opportunity is Technicom and TAP.
So do you have to get both muna or you can go recta to Technicom?
You can I think you can go recta to Technicom
Yeah, okay.
as
Because I
long
think
as
that's where we're gonna. If I'm gonna try, I'm probably gonna go for Technicom because Serie
yeah.
FM by then. And dude, come on, now I have. I recreated the whole startup podcast ecosystem. Ano ba? Right?
Oo.
So it's just putting a
Dapat.
paywall. That's basically what it
Exactly.
is. Yeah.
And the level of detail then that they ask for, not just the tech part, but also the marketing and business model part. So it's really a holistic application. So it depends on what type of brand, kung ano yung focus. But all in all, it's like really somehow akin to pitching, just a little bit more documentation. And then what you have to know is it doesn't end with getting the grant because the budget is a bit strict. So what you applied for in the proposal, the line item budget is very specific. After it, syempre as a startup, you don't know what's gonna happen, di ba? You have to reallocate. They're open naman. They're very flexible about it. You just have to justify documentations. You have to liquidate everything, of course, and provide progress reports. But then I'm always a documentation girly. So if it's not documented, it doesn't exist. So it's kind of like, yeah, and then you get audited anyway, so you liquidate all of your expenses anyway. So it's that kind of thing. For me, it's worth it if the amount is high enough.
Okay.
I think we're one of the ones who got the high end of the range. So
Budol.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
kailangan ko na rin ilabas yung yabang ko minsan.
You found Ikigai. Of course, you get budol. Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. Last thing, Gia. I don't really pull this often, but if I gave you the keys to the Hustleshare time machine once again, and you had the ability to talk to the Gia right after Valea, what would you tell her?
It's gonna be a tough ride. You did nothing wrong. Everything happened for a reason, and if you just keep going, it will all work out as long as you keep taking one foot in front of the other.
Okay, thank you. And don't sin zone Ron. He's still a friend. Okay, still a
reach out to
mentor.
Ron. Reach out to Ron.
Again, thanks so much, Gia. What else?
Thank you so much.
Amazing episode.
Okay.
Finally, this story is gonna come out. No more lost
Yes.
episodes per se. Sounds good. But again, if people want to reach out to you or buy or whatever, reach out to you, collaborate, or buy books, where do they go and how do they do that?
For BookSpine, they go on the Facebook page, Instagram, email us at hello@bookspine.ph. For me, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Just search Gia Santos. I mean, you can message me anytime.
Or Engineer Rakitera if you want the scoop.
Yes.
There you go. That's her. Okay. She posts every once in a while. The long post. It's great when you're about to sleep. There you go. But again,
I think I'm gonna write a book na nga instead of the long posts.
there you go. Gia Serie. There you go. Sounds good. But again, Gia, before I let you go, follow us on whatever podcast after you listen to, or Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if we did say some jargon, it's going to be the show notes on hustleshare.com. And if you also want to support Hustleshare and doing content like this, it's going to be on premium.hustleshare.com. Again, Gia, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ron. Thank you so much. This
Glad
was refreshing. This was so refreshing.
It's therapy. Okay.
Yes.
But I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.